Welcome to Southern Life. On today's video, as we drive through some of the most beautiful areas of Sarasota, I'm going to be updating you guys on the most recent immigration type arrests that we have seen in the Sarasota area. And well, let's start off with the arrest from today. This Mexican national, who's not listed as a U.S. citizen in the arrest report, was arrested for being a habitual no valid driver's license. He lives in Northport and he was arrested by the Venice Police Department. That's the area just to the south of Sarasota. He has no ICE immigration hold at the moment, but being a habitual driver's license offender and listed as a Mexican national, if he's not a U.S. citizen in the future, he could see a deportation. This individual is a Venezuelan national not listed as a U.S. citizen. He was arrested by the Sarasota Police Department for having tags attached that were not his own and driving under the influence. Imagine that. Not a U.S. citizen on our roadways under the influence. Very disgraceful. I did request the body cam footage for this arrest, so we'll be seeing that within the next month on our YouTube channel. The Sarasota Police Department is very prompt at getting us these videos, so please make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can see this footage once we get it. Obtaining body cam footage is not free, so please consider donating something to our channel to help us continue bringing you content that other creators won't. We're still waiting for the footage of the Guatemalan that was arrested for violating a city ordinance. I believe he might have been homeless. We'll get that video by the 4th, so any day soon we'll be seeing that footage. Eventually, I don't just want to review these arrests. I also want to start requesting body cam footage. Some agencies like Sarasota Police Department are very prompt. Others take a lot longer. For example, we're still waiting for footage requested back in October from the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Thus, we're going to work on getting mostly video from Sarasota Police Department since they seem to be the promptest. So far, we haven't really made any money by uploading body cam footage because the amount of time and money we're paying for these videos is never more than what we're making, but I do believe it's important for our channel to document some of the arrests we're going over. This Venezuelan man's address is also listed as 1400, which would suggest that he may be a homeless individual. We'll look forward to this video. I just requested it today, and the Sarasota Police Department is the fastest. We'll get it soon. This Cuban national was arrested in Sarasota. He has a Panama City Beach address, so he lives up in the Florida Panhandle, but he got in trouble in Sarasota, and his charges are an out-of-county warrant for Miami-Dade for a grand theft type charge of the 3rd degree. So this young Cuban has been in Miami, Sarasota, Panama City Beach. This guy sure likes being around the beaches, but with these charges, he may be around the prison. I will say he does have good taste. I mean, Panama City Beach, Sarasota, Miami, this guy's living it to the full. But he's not listed as a U.S. citizen. He's got a grand tour of the best beach towns in Florida, and pretty soon he's going to be getting a grand tour of the Chrome ICE Detention Center because he's not a U.S. citizen and he's committing some pretty serious crimes. Now, this young lady right here is a U.S. citizen from Natchez, Mississippi, and she's wanted out of Bay County, Florida. Now, she committed a fraud to swindle, accessing a computer she wasn't authorized to access. She's also charged with larceny grand theft. Bay County, Florida is where Panama City Beach sits. That makes it the second person in the Sarasota area from the Florida Panhandle today. So I don't know what's going on in Panama City Beach, but I hope we don't become their dumping ground. You may have heard that Panama City Beach is getting rid of spring breakers, and it looks like a lot of people from Panama City Beach are finding their way to Sarasota. Hopefully that madhouse doesn't arrive here. Now, driving through Sarasota today, I noticed a lot of cars with sound systems, a lot of squatted trucks. These are the types of things you usually see during spring break in Panama City Beach. So it's possible that they're trying to storm Sarasota with the people that would have normally gone to Panama City Beach. I really hope that isn't the case because that is an undesirable crowd. I mean, just today we have 2 arrests related to the Florida Panhandle. I really hope that this doesn't become a new trend. This gentleman right here is a Canadian citizen. He was arrested in Inglewood, Florida for disorderly intoxication and resisting. Now, Canadians don't usually get deported for minor issues like this, but he is a not U.S. citizen committing crimes in the United States. We all know that Canadians and people in the northern states like Minnesota and Wisconsin can be pretty heavy drinkers, so it's kind of a regional culture up there, but either way, it's not really a big deal. He wasn't drinking and driving, he was just being obnoxious at a bar. He got arrested for it. It's a very minor thing. Hopefully he can get that straightened out and it doesn't get in the way of him enjoying life in Sarasota. Now, this man from Nicaragua was actually placed on an ICE and immigration hold. He lives in the Sarasota area and he works installing docks. It's a very good occupation, but Nicaraguans are not catching a break in Florida. There's a lot of Nicaraguans being arrested, and most of them are getting the ICE and immigration hold. So yes, we actually did have one person arrested today in Sarasota for an immigration arrest, and a few others who, due to their misbehavior, could see themselves being deported in the future because they're not U.S. citizens and they're breaking the law. We're now crossing the Ringling Bridge, looking at downtown Sarasota. There's currently a building that's going to be to the right of the screen that will be 137 feet higher than everything else in this skyline. How do you feel about a taller building coming to downtown Sarasota? Personally, I feel like the more buildings we have, the cooler the city looks, the more tourists will want to come here. But a lot of locals are very upset at this development. So now that we've gone over the arrests today for Monday, let's take a look at some other arrests from the last 2 or 3 days. They'll give us an idea of what's going on with immigration arrests and other serious arrests in the Sarasota area. This young lady right here is out of the Port Charlotte area, and she was arrested for accessory to the fact on a $100,000 bail. If you help somebody else commit a crime, you can be in trouble too. This Brazilian man from Lehigh Acres, Florida was arrested by a Lee County sheriff for hit and run and then resisting as well. Many Brazilians are not U.S. citizens and they can and have been deported in this area. This young lady from Canada was arrested for a failure to appear in the Fort Myers area. This is Brandon. You may remember that we interviewed him for our YouTube channel in Charlotte County, Florida. He is currently arrested for battery and resisting arrest. The title of his video is Adorable Homeless Couple in Florida. If you want to look that up, that's the interview that we did with him and a female that he was with, homeless in the state of Florida. Now, the battery was not of a domestic nature. I hope he can sort this issue out. I still see potential in all the homeless people that I interview, and it really hurts when somebody that we've interviewed for our YouTube channel ends up getting arrested. I think during his interview, he talked a little bit about how he was afraid of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, and really we had to trim some parts of the video out to make sure that he was okay, because I think during the video he might have said too much, and it was just kind of an emotional thing where he just wanted to vent some of the frustration of being homeless. I could pull the body cam footage for this one, but I think I'm going to pass for now. This man right here is a Cuban citizen. He was arrested in Lehigh Acres, Florida for a homicide that came about from a domestic dispute. That sounds kind of crazy. He is not a U.S. citizen. That doesn't mean that he's illegal. He could be a U.S. resident, so he could have a legal status like permanent resident, for example. However, the fact that he committed a homicide will definitely jeopardize that. The logical thing would be for him to go to prison for the homicide, and at his age, he probably won't get out. It really wouldn't make sense to deport him, because if he's in the United States, has family here, gets deported back to Cuba, well, then he's just going to live out his last days in Cuba and practically not have to pay for the crime he committed here. So this is a very interesting legal battle, because, of course, a lot of times people say deport them, but keep in mind that when somebody commits a crime like this, it's not about a deportation. It's about them serving the time for the crime they did. A fairly logical conclusion would be that him being deported would pretty much mean him getting out of a murder charge or homicide. So this is a very sad situation, but it did take place, and it seems like it happened between people that all knew each other. So this is definitely horrible. But he's not illegal, okay? He's a Cuban citizen, but most likely he's not illegal. He's probably going to be a permanent resident, and if he ever gets out of jail for this, he'll be deported. Now, this young man right here was arrested in Cape Coral, Florida, Lee County, on a battery charge. He is Cuban. This Nicaraguan was arrested in Sarasota yesterday for violating an injunction of domestic violence. He was previously arrested for domestic battery, so he didn't learn his lesson. He hurt somebody, and then apparently he violated the injunction to stay away from the person. So here's somebody who is not a U.S. citizen. He's engaging in domestic violence, and then he goes to court and he didn't learn his lesson. He kept bothering the person. So here we have now somebody who's not a U.S. citizen who's taking up the court's resources over the fact that he can't control his behavior and emotions. I think we've seen lately that they don't really hesitate too much to deport Nicaraguans. So if you're Nicaraguan, you may want to control your behavior if you want to stay in the Sarasota area any longer. As you guys know, there's a regime now in Nicaragua, and perhaps the reason these Nicaraguans are getting deported and targeted more than other Latin Americans is possibly because the type of government that's set up over there right now. There could be a reason why they're purposely targeting these people. Many times people complain about immigration arrests and why people are getting arrested and deported, but sometimes there's things in the background that some of us may not understand. In the case of Nicaraguans, there doesn't seem to be any hesitation to deport them. On top of that, Nicaragua is right next to Costa Rica, a country that is doing very well. In fact, a lot of Americans are moving to Costa Rica, and there's a lot of work in Costa Rica. Most of the construction in Costa Rica, there's a building boom right there, right now happening. That's all mostly being done by Nicaraguans. So Nicaraguans don't exactly have to come to the United States. They have a neighboring country they can go to that has a lot of job opportunities for construction workers. So there's no reason for a Nicaraguan to be over here engaging into all these domestic issues when there's a country much closer to them they can go to. There's countries like Cuba and Haiti that have a kind of more complicated scenario. So it really isn't fair that Nicaraguans have a country right next door that they can go to and work at without too many complications for them to come over here to the United States, a country that has a lot more burden than other nations. So this is one of those scenarios where Nicaraguans are getting deported, and really they're not the end of the world scenarios for them. They have Costa Rica right next door. They can go there for work. On top of that, I really do have to admit that when it comes to Nicaraguans, they just cannot keep their emotions in control. This issue with domestic disputes and brawls is common among Nicaraguans here in Sarasota. People in this country work way too hard. They're way too tired. When they get home, they want peace and quiet. People don't want to get home after a long day of work to have to hear Nicaraguans fighting and engaging in domestic disputes and brawls. This is a place where people work a lot. It's an expensive city to live in. When people go home, they want peace and quiet. They don't want to hear Nicaraguans fighting. So it seems like everywhere they land, they seem to just cause a lot of havoc for the people, and the people have just had enough. It's like I've talked to people that live in the apartment complexes here in the Sarasota area with a lot of Nicaraguans, and people are just really fed up with the constant disputes, brawls, domestic issues, cops always showing up, people fighting and screaming at all hours of the night. People are tired of it. They work way too hard to have to deal with this crap in their communities. Of course, not all Nicaraguan people are like that, but the ones that we get here in Sarasota, I don't know what the issue is. This just seem like really dysfunctional when it comes to domestic issues. And this isn't some broad stereotype. I'm letting you know that there's apartment complexes here in Sarasota where there's a lot of Nicaraguans, and the other people that live there are just kind of fed up with the situation. Now, there's an established Nicaraguan community in Miami, Florida, and the ones I've met in Miami that have been there longer and are kind of more established are definitely more serious people, but the ones that are here right now seem to be very transient new arrivals, and they just have a lot of problems. And keep in mind that the cops here in Sarasota are not going after people. They're not harassing people who look like they don't belong here. The people who are getting arrested here are digging their own freaking holes and walking into them by creating police attention, creating domestic disputes, not knowing how to behave, driving without a valid driver's license. The list goes on and on. The only person they can blame for their own detention is themselves and their behavior. I get Guatemalans, Hondurans, Haitians who use Uber. Give you guys an example. I just had a Haitian kid like a few days ago on Uber. I picked him up at 5 o'clock on a Sunday at a nursing home place where he works. He finished at 5 on a Sunday, and then he went to a restaurant a few miles away where he works a second shift. This young Haitian guy is working 2 jobs on a Sunday, using an Uber to get between one job to the next, not driving without a valid driver's license. So individuals like that are smart, kind of playing it low-key, not drawing attention to themselves, have a potential to remain peacefully in the United States, even if they're undocumented, undetected for a very long time, because they're not causing trouble. It's the individuals that come here and start driving without a valid driver's license and causing problems in the community that kind of find themselves getting deported, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. Because like I said, there's a lot of people who work in this area, low-key, mind their business, go home, don't bother anybody, out of sight, out of mind. This is Edgar. He's a Mexican national, and he got an ICE immigration hold for no reason. No, there's a reason. He was arrested for a DUI, driving under the influence. So here's an individual who is undocumented, got the ICE deportation because he was driving under the influence. Now, if you're getting deported, chances are you're illegal, right? If you're illegal, you're not going to get deported. So here's an individual who was illegal and he was driving under the influence. These are the types of people who dig their own holes, and it's a good thing he didn't hurt anybody. He can't blame anybody but himself for this deportation. If he was just minding his own business, he would still be here. Why this person decided to drink and drive when he's not legal is absolutely infuriating. It's almost on a daily basis that somebody gets arrested in Sarasota County for driving under the influence who is illegal and deportable. Do you think that makes the Latino and Hispanic community be a target of law enforcement when every single day somebody of your demographic is being arrested for a crime like driving under the influence, with as many deaths as we have had in this area recently because of people driving under the influence? It's infuriating. An Uber cost $13. Why are you driving under the influence? Salvadorian arrested in Lee County, Florida for driving without a valid driver's license for the first time? No, it's his subsequent or third time being arrested for the same thing, not having a valid driver's license. When is this guy going to learn his lesson? When he gets deported. When you've been arrested a second and third time for driving without a valid driver's license and you get deported for it, you can't feel bad for these people. I mean, they kind of just worked their way into the situation at free will. Like I said, the Haitian guy that I Uber drive in town has 2 jobs. That means every day he's taking 3 Ubers around town. What makes you better than him if you're both illegal? Nothing. The fact that the Haitian's smarter because he didn't get behind the wheel. Salvadorian, Lee County, Florida, no valid driver's license. This U.S. citizen from Connecticut was arrested in Naples, Florida for driving under the influence. Judging by her mugshot, it seems that she thinks it's a joke. Lee County, Florida, Guatemalan national arrested for disorderly intoxication in Fort Myers, the area of Tice. This Guatemalan from Fort Myers was arrested for aggravated assault. Peligroso, Guatemala. And really, there seems to be no shortage of Guatemalans being arrested for not having a valid driver's license in the Fort Myers area. Sometimes they're arrested in Lee County, sometimes they're arrested in Charlotte County, but they always live in Fort Myers. Let me tell you, Guatemalans are some of the hardest working people I have ever met anywhere. Working in Naples, Florida, there's a huge Guatemalan community down there, and these people are just absolutely the hardest working people I've ever ran across. I feel like they should have grabbed 500,000 of these people and given them their papers just so they could work here in the United States. I mean, we've let all these different groups of people come over here that are useless. Why not let some Guatemalans come over here? These people are hard working, and they're usually only getting arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. Every once in a while you get one intoxicated or one that's disorderly or one that's aggravated over there, but for the most part these guys are good hardworking people. And really, like, I really feel like Guatemalans, instead of deporting them, you should be importing these people. They are so productive and hardworking, good people, but every once in a while you get some bad ones, and well, we see these arrests today. Most Guatemalans I met down there would never dare to get behind the wheel of a vehicle without a license. The ones that are doing it, they think they're slick, and well, it ain't working out too good for them. This Honduran guy is making headlines in Southwest Florida. He's being accused of hitting two people that were on motorcycles. After he injured them, hitting them, leaving them there, he fled the scene of the accident, casually walking away, pretending like he was talking on his cell phone, leaving two people in a motorcycle injured on the freaking road. Unbelievable. Now, I'm not exactly sure why this individual decided to flee the scene of an accident when he just ran over two people that were on motorcycles. His instinct should have been to run out and offer them as much help as soon as possible, not to pretend like he didn't do it and walk away casually. Now, the Lee County Sheriff's Office hasn't released details about his legality yet, but let's assume that you are the two people that are riding your motorcycle. Here comes a guy that's undocumented, hits you, and then instead of offering you help, he flees the scene, acting like it's not his problem. Do you think that maybe those people are going to have hard feelings about Hispanics for the rest of their life? Most freaking likely. It's individuals like this that promote hate by giving people a reason to hate. People today are already full of hate for no reason. People like this give people a reason, and that's the problem you have with individuals like this, that they'll grab somebody who isn't racist and they'll turn them racist by their freaking behavior, their irresponsibility of not fessing up, not being a man, and standing up to the actions, the consequences of his actions. You did something horrific, now you got to man up and face it. You can't just walk away from your problems, leaving other people's lives destroyed. Do you know how many problems and complications these people could have from this type of accident? Luckily they seem like they were going to be okay, but either way, they could have lifelong effects from this accident. And this guy just gets to walk away from leaving somebody's life destroyed. And this is really the problem with individuals like this that cause a lot of harm to the immigrant communities. I've worked with a few people that are Americans that have had stuff like this happen to them by undocumented people, and it's a very long and difficult road for these people to change their mindset, because now they're living the rest of their lives with pain and suffering caused by somebody else being reckless in this fashion. Not like there aren't white people out there that would do the same exact reason because their license got suspended for a DUI. It's not like this could have been anybody, but it just happened to be you. And that is the problem. It just happened to be you. That's why in life, you got to man up and fess up and take responsibility from your actions. You may do something horrific. Now you have to face the consequences. And perhaps if you are able to do the right thing and help people and be responsible, perhaps people will have mercy on you. Perhaps people will forgive you and you can make a friendship with those people. And I've had that happen. I've been in situations where I had done something horrible to somebody else on accident. And I've had to admit to them, hey, I did this. And a lot of times people are just happy knowing that there's good people out there. And they'll forgive you for all types of things if they see that you are a good, kind-hearted person. But when you try to walk away from leaving somebody else's life destroyed, that right there is not looked upon favorably by society. Hopefully you never find yourself in a situation where you hurt somebody else or their property. But if you do the responsible thing and take responsibility for your actions. It will do you and society a whole lot more than if you don't. Because then now the rest of us in society have to pay up. Okay, those people's lives are going to be ruined. The rest of us in society are going to have to deal with some racist people that have a reason to be racist because you did something to them of that nature. So now the rest of us in society are going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions. This isn't our problem. This is your problem. Be a man and take care of it. You know what I mean? You can't just walk away from hurting people. This man is from Haiti, and he was arrested for a DUI in Fort Myers, baby. I think we're going to have to give him the Haitian Fort Myers song.
Papa driving through Fort Myers with no ID. Now he's a deportee. Back to IT. Why you driving a machine, Poppy, if you got no ID? Uh-oh, you crazy. Papa now, a deportee. Back to IT. He's a deportee. Driving to Fort Myers with no ID. He got caught by the Fort Myers PD. No Papa. Back to IT. Papa crazy, no ID. Now he's a deportee.
He was on the Bourbon Court, way too heavy of the prestige. But either way, you cannot drive under the influence if you're from IT, Papi, and Fort Myers, because you'll become a deportee. You know this, Papa. You crazy. You know, it's kind of wild that I took the time out of my life to make a song about people from Haiti breaking the law in Fort Myers. But this clip has been pretty useful because it seems to happen quite freaking often. Now, this man right here is from Jamaica. He's Jamaican. Bruh. He has a habitual problem of not having a driver's license, though. It's not a third or a subsequent. It's a freaking habit at this point for this guy. It's type of dude that walks into a bar. You got any vices, man? One dude's like, man, I drink too much. The other guy's like, man, you got any vices? Man, I smoke. The other one's like, you got any vices? Yeah, I'ma not play with them. I'ma drive with no license. The brother not have no license. I'ma drive all the time. Not play with them. Feel love the curry. Feel love the June plum. But I'm a really love how to drive with a no license, brother. Now, this man right here was arrested for loitering in Immokalee, Florida. Interesting. The homie looks like an undocumented version of Cat Williams in that Pimp movie where he had slick hair. Mexican national arrested in Charlotte County, Florida. He should have known that his driver's license was expired or revoked or suspended. That's a specific charge in the state of Florida. You should know. If it's suspended and you know it, then it's like an enhancement to the crime because you knew this thing was suspended. So it's not a surprise to him that this thing wasn't good enough. Mexican national driver's license suspended out of Lee County, Florida. This female from Nicaragua was arrested in Sarasota County for driving without a valid driver's license, but she also received an ICE and immigration hold. It's almost certain if you're Nicaraguan and you get arrested here, you're going to get deported. This man right here is from Nicaragua. He's a painter, and he was also arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. Most likely, he will see the deportation order as well. This man right here is originally from Venezuela. He was arrested in Lee County, Florida for having tags that were not assigned to his vehicle. He lives in Bradenton. Alright guys, those are just some of the recent immigration type arrests that we have seen in the Sarasota area. Before I let you guys go, I want to show you guys two more arrests. This man was recently arrested for robbery by sudden snatching without a firearm or weapon. He's a black male that is unemployed and homeless in Sarasota. He's got the 1400, that means he's homeless. So here's a homeless person in Sarasota that was arrested for robbery by sudden snatching. Now on the same day that this guy got arrested for robbery by sudden snatching, I had this guy in the back seat of my car, and today he is in custody at the Sarasota County Jail. If you've Uber driven at night, at some point or another, you have been in this situation where you have somebody that makes you so uncomfortable that you wonder if you're going to make it to your destination alive. There he is in a red hoodie. Now let's go over all the red flags that are coming into my mind right now. Why did he run out to the major road when it's a 3-lane highway? He's wearing a hoodie and carrying a book bag. Hoodie and book bag by themselves are usually red flags for Uber drivers. He's got both going on. Now, the Sarasota airport is a fairly small airport. It serves Sarasota and Bradenton, and there are no departures at 1 or 2 in the morning. Him going to the airport this late at night, the only explanation would be if he was a worker. They'll lie to the Uber driver on the app, and then when you're almost there, then they change the destination. You might have overheard me saying, "Are you all right, bro?" What I'm doing is I'm making sure that the passenger is healthy, he is okay, and that he knows where he's going. So right now, I'm doing a welfare check on this passenger. Because his circumstances are suspicious, I don't know if he got shot, if he needs to go to a hospital, so I'm doing a welfare check based on the circumstances. Now, I was supposed to pick him up way in the back, but him walking towards the front limited my exposure to the settings of where I was picking him up. So I wanted to slow everything down for a minute, absorb this setting, make sure there's nothing strange going on here. Notice how I don't leave right away. I'm talking to him and I'm letting him know that I don't feel comfortable, and I'm trying to make sure that he's okay, that I'm going to be okay. For the safety of the passenger and myself, if the circumstances are suspicious, I have to do a wellness check on the passenger first to make sure everything's checking out, because once I start driving, if they have a medical episode or if they've been shot and I don't know that or something, once I'm driving, I can't help them. So one thing that I learned early while Uber driving is if somebody makes you uncomfortable, do not sit there quietly awaiting to see what that person's next move might be. You got to figure this situation out before you start driving. If somebody makes me uncomfortable, I don't move until I'm 100% sure that I understand what this person's got going on, asking them if they're sure they want to do this ride. I did tell him before I started driving, I said, I'm going to start driving. You've made me uncomfortable. If you do something out of the norm, I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt. It's on site. So at this point, I also decided now I'm going to the airport. I went north on 301, which is not the most practical route. I decided to go up 301 and through MLK, which is the most dangerous part of the city. And I also played some music that should have made him as uncomfortable as he made me. Once you're moving with a passenger that's making you feel uncomfortable, you got to take it somewhere too. So that's kind of what I did to make him feel uncomfortable as well. They know that they can walk all over you, so you have to kind of like take control of the situation. So another thing that I do to Uber passengers when they make me feel uncomfortable is I will make them feel as uncomfortable as they make me. And that just kind of levels out the playing field. But once we're at the terminal, I realized, okay, he's going to the airport. But I know he ain't catching no flight. Now, when we got into that whole conversation, he said, "Oh, I got a flight to catch." And I said, "Oh, you got a flight to catch for real, man? Like for real?" He's like, "Yeah, I got a flight to catch." And I was like, "What? Where are you going?" He didn't know where to go. He was lying. He didn't have any business at the airport. And when you look at his arrest, he was arrested on this same day for trespassing and resisting officer without violence, and he is still in custody. Now, before he got out, I told him, "Hey, man, I'm just protecting myself. I'm not hating on you. I'm not trying to disrespect you or nothing. I'm just trying to stay safe because it's dangerous out here." He actually gave me a $3 tip. Now, looking through his arrest records, he is from Alabama. Now, let's just go over a few scenarios. And again, no hard feelings on him. Like, he tipped me and he got to his destination and he didn't cause any trouble during the trip. But what I'm trying to illustrate to you guys is, let's take a look at some possible scenarios here. He could have got out of jail and he could have been trying to go back to his home state. What's going to prevent him, if he's homeless, from trying to take your vehicle? I mean, it can happen. Late at night, somebody wearing a hoodie, they're already covering their face and their head and all that. He's got a book bag, so he's clearly homeless. And he is homeless because his address is listed as a homeless location. He might have been trying to get arrested on purpose. And a lot of homeless people do that. A lot of homeless people get arrested on purpose. I'm just about to pick somebody up on Main Street, right? Look, check this out. Okay, This guy right here just got picked up on 4 homicides. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 homicides. And he's hiding out here on Main Street in Sarasota. All these fugitives from all these places come up over here to hide out. Of course, most people you get on Uber are really nice and great people, but every once in a while you get a person that's dangerous. Now, this individual was homeless, and he got arrested the same night that I dropped him off. From the moment I saw this guy, my gut instinct told me that this guy was dangerous, and I thought he was going to try a robbery by snatching on me, and he didn't do it. You know, I dropped him off at his destination, but when I see another homeless person on the same day getting arrested for robbery by snatching, it just reminds me that my gut instinct wasn't off. But yes, Uber driving late at night is very dangerous, and you always have to follow your gut instinct. If you feel uncomfortable, you can't go for it. Now, he may have thought that by putting an airport ride as the destination, that I was going to fall back and be cool, thinking that he's going to the airport and nothing wrong was going to happen. But trust me, he wasn't going to the airport. He was at a commercial area at 1 in the morning. You don't go from there to the airport in a hoodie looking homeless. So you have to use common sense. And one of the biggest tactics that people that are doing something sketchy will do is they'll put the destination as the airport to make you as an Uber driver, like to catch you off guard. But when I saw him, I knew he wasn't going to the airport. I caught him in the last step. You ain't going to no airport. I know you ain't going to no airport. You trying something crazy, is about to be crazy. If you want crazy, it's about to happen. So maybe this guy was planning on using the Uber to rob the Uber. But then when I did the whole act, maybe he backed off and then he was stuck at the airport and ended up getting arrested there. I'm not sure what this whole thing was about, but trust me, I was in a dangerous spot. It's no coincidence that he got arrested right after I dropped him off. This dude was about to crash out, and hadn't I moved the way I moved, he would have crashed out on me. The fact that this guy got arrested at the airport after I dropped him off on the same night just goes to show that this dude was on his last freaking leg, and it would have been me if I had fallen asleep on him. But I was on to him the whole freaking time. As soon as he got in that Uber, I said, "Hey, bro, you sure you going to the airport? Because you ain't going to no airport. You ain't catching no flight. You trying to catch a lick. I'll take you to the airport. But if you move the wrong way, it's about to be a ding. I'm going to have to go kung fu on you, brother. What? I'm from the streets, dawg. I ain't got nothing to lose, dawg. My goldfish died last night, dawg. I ain't got nothing to live for at this point, dawg. So if you try me, dawg, it might just be some. If you want it to be some, it might just be some, player. So you better re-recognize and reorganize your brain, son, because I'm going to snap, dawg. You feel me, dawg? So you stay right in that seat, dawg. And if you even look at me strange, dawg, don't even take off your seatbelt without looking at me first, player, because I'm about to snap on you, good. This guy was from Alabama. He's not even from out here. If I was squared up, this dude would be driving my truck in Birmingham right freaking now. If your gut feeling is telling you that something ain't right, don't ever let somebody rock you to sleep. If somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, you better address it, and you better let them know, hey man, you making me feel uncomfortable. If you about to make it about something, it's about to be about something. Don't ever let somebody rock you to sleep. If you see a danger, react. Don't be afraid of people, because if they see you afraid, they're going to say, I got this dude in the bag. They're going to catch you off guard. The element of surprise is a weapon. You better have all your senses turned on, and if something ain't making sense, you better make sense out of it. Don't ever be afraid to put somebody in check if you got a gut feeling or they ain't making you feel right. You got all the right to do it. If somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, don't get afraid. Don't corner into a little ball. You let them know, hey, what's the problem here? You're making me feel real uncomfortable. You're doing something crazy. If you're doing something crazy, I'm about to get crazier than you. If you crazy, I'm even crazier, bro. I feel it coming. I feel it, dog.